Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my show Science Thursday. In today's episode we're going to take a look at very odd topic, pseudoscience of homeopathy. So let's dive right into it. Now first thing you have to understand, history of medicine as we know it today, it's not very, let's say, clean, and it had a very bad start. Removing the context of like few medicine technology like Ayurveda or other things like that, most of the technology that we had in terms of medicine was literally bad, like as in it will kill people. Like we actually used to do what we call bloodletting. Basically we'll cut make your blood bleed out, and that's supposed to cure you. But if you can understand, that literally harmed people. A lot of people died because of this. So inherently going to the quote unquote doctors caused more harm than the good. This is the beginning of our basically modern medicine. It's not very great, it's not very awesome. It's very cruel, it's very bad, and it's downright insane at times. So you have to understand that. And even those, like, we did started to experiment with some medication, as in like proper chemical compound, as in what if we give a little bit of calcium, we give a little bit of iron, the cure rate, as in like you go to a doctor and you came out cure, was very low. So in those sort of scenario, people did not trust medicine or quote unquote doctor. And it's understandable. If your hit rate is bad and you're causing literally more harm than good, then in those sort of scenario, as in the early days, this created a paradox. Basically doing nothing became better than doing something. So outcome, the basic homeopathy. This is the reason why homeopathy is so thoroughly basically defended throughout the years. Basically you have to understand, this has been going on for from 1800, but at that time the alternate was simply not there. Basically going to those quote unquote doctors simply meant you may die. Going to this, there was an inherent trust in that, like nothing bad will happen to you. And that was true, because those were doing bloodletting and these were giving you basically fancy water. So you can understand it, flat out no harm. And all the medication, even though these are actual medication, once they dilute it, it just basically became plain water. So there was no harm in water unless like some cholera or things of that nature. And many times it was diluted with alcohol, so no microbial life infection can happen from that. So in those sort of scenario where you have really bad doctors, as in they are not bad as in like they want to kill you, they are bad as in they do not know. In those sort of era, this became a very compelling, safe, reliable alternate to quote unquote medicine. So what is the science behind it? If this many people has been trusting it from 1796, as in like early 1800s, there must be something behind it. This is the clever part about it. Think of it this way, they take real medication. So these sort of things you see, these are from those people, those quote unquote actual doctors. These are actual medication. They take it and they dilute it. Now they have their own fancy word, portonization. It's basically voodoo magic. Basically they are diluting it, and you at the receiving end, you will receive something like this, like small balls, sometimes tablets, sometimes capsules. Basically what they are taking actual medication and diluting it. Now their reasoning behind this is basically like cures. Like basically if you put medicine in water becomes the medicine. So that's why they keep diluting it, and they will give it a rating like C rating, C30. Basically 1 part the medication, 30 part the water. Now if you are finding this, like how does that work? Well, it does not. That's the whole point. It does not work. Like if you can't dilute something and still expect it to do something. This was whole feel good. Now in that time, as in like in 1796, where people are being bloodlet, you can understand people are like, oh, this works. Like this works compared to that. So before any of you like go in and judge people who trust in homeopathy, understand their history. They're coming from a fact that their generations like prior suffered by the hands of real doctor and survived by the hands of homeopath. So there is an inherent trust into it, and inherent trust that goes for 200 years back. Yeah, people will trust it. So diluting the solution, and so it's going on for very long time. There has been hospitals that cure people. So that's the science behind it. They take actual medicine, they dilute it, and then give it to any format. Sometimes oral solutions. Generally they are always oral. This is also another part. They did not try to create injections and all that. Now you may be like, isn't injection better? Well, yes, but you have to understand, during World War I, we did not knew how to make injections that are small enough. So basically if you poked people and they had to seal the wound, basically there was wound from injection. The modern medication is like tweak, throw it away. That's modern science, that's material science for us to make a needle that is small enough that it can actually pierce your skin, strong enough that it can allow fluid to go through it, and then when you pull it out, it does not get jammed in your skin, and on top of that, it also seals the wound basically. And it's not sealing the wound, basically the flesh around it is binding back. So to do that required a lot of advancement in material science. So even though needles were a better way of giving you actual cures, needles itself was dangerous. So you're not gonna die from the medicine that was given to you. You will die that you're gonna bleed out because of your injection, and that did happen. A lot of people bled out because of injections. So do understand this. So that is why these slowly. So understand that even though bloodletting is now, as in like 1850s, people are like, yeah, bloodletting, let's just not go there. They are evolving. That time their tools, as in the equipment they are using, is still not good enough. The injection is lethal. At this point, injection is flat out still lethal and dangerous. So compared to that, taking oral solutions, even though let's say oral solution may be less potent, it will do more good, because you won't be like having a giant wound. And you have to understand, this is before the era of we cured tetanus, so infection was very normal. So these are the science behind it. They take the actual medication, dilute the hell out of it, and I'm talking like 1 part per billion trillion. So you do not even try to, like, if you take one of these bottle and you try to analyze it under a microscope, good luck with that. You will not find even one atom in this. Literally, good luck with that if you try to. Now, if you find something that has low C rating, as in like C1 or C2, yeah, then it will work. But if you have C30 or C60, good luck with that. So that's the science behind it. You take something that actually works, mix it in water and give it to you, or sometimes mix it in alcohol. So if you take the basically homeopathic pills and it tastes funny, sugar pills kind of thing, many times they have a bit of alcohol mixed into this. So okay, there are science behind this, there is actual medication behind it, there is actual hospitals built on this. Does it work? Short answer, no. Hell no. Then you might be like, okay, I cannot be the only smart one. People are going there, people are coming back. Why do people are doing this? Well, you have to understand the core aspect, time. This is the basically healing factor. Now, if you get sick, let's say you had cold or running nose, your body is still fighting it. Your body will cure you. That is why AIDS is so dangerous to us. If our immune system goes, everything goes. So as long as your immune system is working, even at a compromised capacity, it will still cure you. That is the reason why humans are alive. That's the reason humans have survived so long. Our immune system is good enough. Now, of course, it's not the latest and greatest, but it's more than good enough. Otherwise, you would not make it through adulthood. So in those sort of scenario, you have an immune system that is working. You went to a doctor that did not cause you any harm. You come back, like in 3-4 days, your immune system would have gone already. Now what do you realize? Hey, I went to like a doctor, I took some medication, in 5 days I was cured. Now your curing happened because of your immune system, but you will relate it to basically the doctor. That's how it works. That's why people still trust it, that hey, I went to the doctor, I took some medication. And be mindful, antibiotics, they are very good, they are dangerous, they can cause side effects, and sometimes lethal side effects. In no scenario, no matter what happens, homeopathic will not cause any harm to you. So do understand, this also alleviates stress from your immune system. So your immune system will cure you no matter what. Now, there are times people are getting cured from serious things. Like, people don't trust in homeopathy because minor cough, running nose are being cured. Sometimes big diseases are being cured. How the heck that happened? That happened because of placebo effect. Now if you think, no, that's just voodoo, no. Placebo effect is the biggest problem with our current modern science. Basically, we don't understand it. Like, it does work, and many medication that was created and double blinded tested, they failed simply because of placebo effect. As in, just giving people hope that this medication has something, it cured them. And many times the medication that has already gone through placebo stage, many times they try to introduce this to basically do double blind test in Africans, do double blind test in India, do double blind in Japan. They turned out their ratio, every medication suffers to a bit of placebo effect, but the ratio must be good enough. Like, yeah, 1 in a million person got fixed by placebo, then yeah, your medication really does something. Now 1 in 100, yeah, now it's not. Like, let's say 50% of your patient will get fixed just by placebo, then yeah, then your medication is not good enough. So understand, every medication, no matter how harsh, does have some percentage of placebo attached to it. So let's say in America they are like, if you're placebo, we can double blind test it, and placebo comes out like 1% got cured in placebo, that's good enough. Let's say they tested 10,000 people. Now they went, same medication was tested on India, turns out like 50 people got better. Now whoa, how the heck that happened? We did double blind tests were repeated, and tests repeated with other kind of people, as in like Japanese people, Chinese people, African people, and the placebo effect was all over the place. So the medication that is already been tested still struggles from placebo. So we do not understand placebo well enough at this point in time that you can tangibly say, oh, it's hoax or not. It does work, it has been proven. Many medication has been removed from the shelf, even though those were true medication, because placebo effect, the proportion of placebo was not good enough. So do understand, it does work, it's tangible, and some people are genetically more susceptible to it. So we know that, like some people on whom placebo does not work, it does not matter which medicine you are giving, which placebo you are giving, it simply won't work. Other people, just a hint of it, it will work. And other people that are so susceptible to it that even though you say this is a placebo medication, this does not actually has anything, but it will cure you, it will actually cure them. So it happens, this sort of thing happens, and it's not some voodoo magic, it's known science. Actually classifying it as known science would be basically illegal at this point. The best thing I can say about it, it's known quantity, we know this happens, we know this is an issue. So this is the reason why homeopathy is still alive. It's like it does not work, but it does not cause harm, and your body will heal itself unless it has AIDS. And on top of that, placebo effect may kick in and save you from big diseases. So if you hear people like, I had this disorder or that disorder or this big issue, if they are getting cured, they are getting cured of placebo. And if you hear people talk about like, small minor things, they are getting cured by the simple fact, time. Now you might be thinking, okay, am I the only one? Am I the only one who like see through this basically hoax? No, the reason why people trust it, it simply works great on kids. They were like, whoa, there is no medication in this, then why the heck it works great on kids? Now you have to understand, go to any doctor, go to the doctor nearest you, ask them how dangerous is antibiotic. They will flat out tell you, antibiotics is not a children's toy. It is something to be taken seriously. Antibiotics is very powerful tool. It does save boatload of life, but it is a serious tool. Basically, it's like a scalpel. You need to know how to use it, otherwise you will kill a person. And all these medication that we rely on have giant paper written about them, like these are the consequences if you overuse it, not use appropriately, if you mix the doses, and if you mix one antibiotics with other antibiotics, it could have a lot of harms. And if you are a grown adult, many of you have been experiencing something like, let's say you took some antibiotics and you started suffering with loose motion. Now it was not bad or lethal, but it was a minor inconvenience. Now when it comes to kid, people really don't like the idea of giving kids antibiotics flat, like out of the gate. Like, of course, if it's seriously struggling, if it, let's say, has TB, basically tuberculosis, yeah, of course, you have to give medication to it. But let's say it's a normal thing and the kid is like, in a lot of what we call frustration, let's just put it that way. In those sort of scenarios, we really don't want to give kids antibiotics. No, ask any doctor around you. Like, antibiotics is not something that just like, yeah, take antibiotics, just take antibiotics. It's not something like that. We have to be serious about this. We have to be thorough about it. Ask any doctor near you, is like, what happens if you don't take the full dose of antibiotics? Basically, they told you like, hey, take it for 5 days. Do not shut it off at third day. Basically, you got cured in the third day, but you still have to take that 2 extra day. What happens then? Ask your doctor. Don't ask me. Don't trust YouTube. Go to the doctor nearest you and ask them this question. What happens if I don't finish the dose of antibiotics? So in those sort of scenarios, people don't want to give kids antibiotics, and it does make sense. Antibiotics is a very important thing. We don't want to be like, exposing kid to antibiotics, and antibiotics starts losing effect. That's also another issue. Let's say you will hear people using terms like mg, milligrams, as in like this tablet has 25 milligram. Again, if you're taking antibiotics lot throughout your life, the medication that would only need like 50 mg, they have to give you 100 mg to work. That is why people want to keep children away from antibiotics unless they need it. Like, of course, if they are actually ill, if they are actually seriously ill, yeah, of course they will give it. But let's say minor things they don't want to. On top of that, this is the reason why it works well with kids, because kids' body is so vulnerable, antibiotics can cause serious damage to it. On top of that, many medication that you go, like let's say you went to a doctor, many medications are not what we call quote unquote cure. They are what we call symptom alleviation. Basically these medications are specifically designed to help you. Now what does this help you mean? It simply, let's say you have running nose, okay, this medication will help you with running nose. Your throat is hurting, this medication will help your throat. It's not fixing the disease. That main thing is still happening because of immune system. That is why AIDS is so dangerous. So all these medications, symptom alleviation, it will be taken care of no matter what. Your body will take care of it. Your body will still, let's say whatever the underlying disease is, it will take care of it. But having this basically placebo effect turbocharges it. That's why it works so great on kids. However, if you are truly taking your kid to a homeopathy, please make something like this, basically a calendar, and make sure that if, let's say, a normal thing should only go for 7 to 10 days, let's say common cold, and if it goes longer than it, please go to actual doctor. Don't risk your life on it. Just if you want to avoid antibiotics for your children, and I do understand that, but please go to a doctor if it takes longer than that. Like if it's like the doctor told you, yeah, you should be cured in 4 days, and if it went to 5 days, okay. If it went to 10 days, yeah, go to a doctor. Just go. No hoo-ha, just go to a doctor. So in those symptom alleviation scenario, the medication flat out, it does not make a difference that whether you take the medication or not. Homeopathic, and if the placebo is strong enough, which is strongest in kids, it will flat out work. Like if children see that your parents is stressed out, they took you to the doctor, they are stressed out. Children know that they are stressed out. Children's immune system know they are stressed out. So they see that their immune system is not working. But once they see that a doctor gave you something, your parents is relaxed, it will help them. Like it is known fact. There is no hoo-ha in this. This is the biggest tragedy of human neurology, is that it can mess up everything. Like you can have frustration and your immune system stops working. You can have basically a bad night, basically where you're not sleeping properly, your immune system will stop working. Now these things are not hoo-ha, these things are known. Like if your mind is not working properly at peak capacity, your immune system might as well be dead. So some things that let's say a person who is sleeping well, just a normal good night's sleep, somebody is sleeping well, they can take care of their health much better than anybody who's like having sleeping issues. So do understand, our immune system is very, very vulnerable to our minds, not to something else, just to our minds. So placebo in this sort of scenario really helps, because children are not old enough. Children are not basically burnt by life. We are adult, we are burnt by life. So we are like, yeah, what's the point? What's the point of Texas? So, and on top of that, it's cheap. Plus, the homeopathy is cheap. Like I've been to many, when I was a child, homeopathic doctors, and they were barely charging me 30 to 45 rupees. At the same time, if I went to another doctor, it would have been cost me 100. So understand, just pay attention to the number, 100 versus 35. So that aspect also helped it. Now this is the final aspect. This is the problem with modern medicine. It's human. Like this is a homeopathic clinic which is for horses, and you can hear last line in this: friendly advice. This is the reason why people still trust to homeopathic. Like if you go to them, like these person or these gentlemen, when you talk to them, you're like, oh, I'm a human. A doctor is very machine-like, and they have to cure, like, let's say 500 people or 50,000 people. These people give you time, that aspect that it's human really helps you. Like, let's say your stress level is reduced just by, let's say your stress was, let's say, at 100, it was reduced to just 80. That 20 points that you saved, that will help your immune system. All those things combined really sells homeopathic. So you have to understand this, like the fact that it feels human. Like you go to a doctor, you talk to it, not just like, what is your, show your tongue, they shine light in your basically eyes, and then take your pulse and all that. They are doing good work, but it feels inhuman. It's not human. Like when you talk to someone, you want to feel like, okay, at least this person in front of me is listening to me. Now I understand doctor, like because I have a elder brother who is a doctor, so they have to do things like they have to treat your body as a machine, so they know what is wrong and they can fix it. They have to remove emotions, but these people add emotions to it, so that helps you. And you really have to understand this. Like if your mind is at working condition, as in like properly relaxed, calm, or most diseases it won't even touch you. Like let's say blood pressure, here's the deal. If I fixed your mental state to a point where it's like, okay, you lie down in bed and you fall asleep on your own, no magic, no hoo-ha, on your own, your BP will go down. Like of course it won't go to zero, it won't be 100% fixed, but that's how vulnerable we are. Like if our mind is working properly, everything is good. If our minds start to wander in wrong directions or is frustrated, overthinking, our immune system does not work. This is why homeopathy is still around. That is why it will still be around in 10,000 years from now. It will keep going on forever and ever, unless we can figure out this aspect, the human aspect. Everything else, modern medicine is getting so good that even the antibiotics are like, there is a counteract to antibiotics. That counteract is making sure that basically the side effects from antibiotics is lessened. So we are getting better with medicine. There is no denying that. However, this aspect human is going like in modern medicine, it's going low and low and low and low. So at this point, some point, like people will simply go to a homeopathic is, because at least they can talk. Like there are scenarios where our doctors are so overworked or so overbooked, they will literally see you done. Like they won't even talk to you. And I understand that. Like if you have to take care of 500 people or 50,000 people in case of India, I understand that. But like we have to be human about this. We have to be human. And of course, either some great psychologist figures out an off switch to make sure our immune system is disconnected from our mind basically. Yeah, then it would be awesome. But until then, homeopathic is here to stay. And these are the reason why it works. So this was my presentation on basically homeopathic. I hope you liked it, learned from it. In that case, please leave a like, click the ad that are shown in this video. That will directly help me. If you didn't like it, don't worry about it. You can press dislike. I would urge you to do it twice to show me your extra disappointment. Leave a comment because I reply to all of them. Press subscribe, press the bell icon if you are free, and as always, thanks for watching.